Hello guys, Furball the Hammy, your friendly neighborhood hamster, is back again for another Hypixel Skyblock video. In today's video, we will be focusing on ranking all of the new and changed pets in Hypixel Skyblock. I will be ranking all pets once again to this new tier system that I've adapted from Hearthstone as to how we rate Hearthstone cards in that trading card game. So here's how I will rank the pets. The ranking system. 1 star. We'll never see use in the meta game unless a significant change happens to it. 2 stars. Isn't entirely bad, it has little use or has little support for it to be amazing, but has potential in future updates. 3 stars. It has its users, but it's quite niche in its use, but we'll see use in what it excels in. 4 stars. It is part of the meta game, however it is not the best pet for what it does. It's still good nonetheless and can be good budget replacements. 5 stars. Definitely will see use in the future and the present, if there are no balance changes to nerf it. So, today I will be reviewing all new pets and all new pets who had changed in their abilities, namely the Wither Skeleton, the Pig, the Spider, the Zombie, the Endermite, the Skeleton, the Ghoul, the Tarantella, the Hoenn, the Golem, the Dolphin, the Baby Yeti, the Elephant, Black Cat, the Jellyfish, and the Rock. So with that, let's begin the video. So first and foremost, let's talk about the Wither Skeleton. I gave it 3 stars. It gives minus 30% damage against skeletons, which is pretty darn good. I would expect skeletons to be a common mob to face in dungeons, even though the leak footage shows zombies only, but I'm pretty sure you would see skeletons. And plus 50% damage against wither mobs like wither skeletons and withers also seems rather amazing if they end up being bosses in dungeons, and with the brand new ability Death's Touch, which adds 200% damage over 3 seconds to the mob you hit. It is pretty decent for damage use when fighting withers and skeletons, which is the main purpose of this pet. Overall, I think that the Wither Skeleton can see play and will most likely see play on the caveat that skeletons and withers are in dungeons and are challenging to deal with. Next up, the Pig pet. I gave it 2 stars. I mean, it's pretty much a horse and a skeleton horse substitute. It would be good for Skyblock if Skyblock expands and becomes an MMORPG with thousands of areas to explore, but it serves as more of a transportation than anything else. It's cute though, so that's a plus point if that matters. So yeah, next up, the Spider pet. 3 stars. It's decent. The first ability, one with the spider that buffs your strength with spiders nearby, can be useful in dungeons if you are facing a bunch of spiders, obviously. Its second ability, Web Weaver, which slows down enemies by 40% when maxed. That's pretty amazing with the slow and stun build I've made in my previous support class video, link in the description if you would like to check it out. And last but not least, its final ability, Spider Whisperer, buffs spiders and tarantula minion speed by a whopping 30%. It's good. Tarantula minions are good for money, and it's pretty strong to buff a already strong minion with even more speed. And next up, the Zombie pet. 2 stars. First and foremost, the zombie basically does 3 simple things. It heals you every time you kill a zombie, makes you do more damage to zombies, and buffs undead armor sets. I think it's very niche. It only does one thing good, zombies, and that's about it. Also, the only undead sets we have are Revenant and Zombie armor, which both are pretty weak. The reason as to why I gave this 2 stars is because I expect dungeons to have more than just zombies, and this pet is literally a one-trick pony. Wither Skeleton pet can deal with 3 mobs, namely skeletons, withers, and wither skeletons as mentioned earlier, while a zombie pet can only deal with 1 mob well, which is a zombie and nothing else. I doubt zombie will even see some play in the meta at all, even when dungeons are released, because even grinding Revenant bosses, you would rather have a magic find bonus pet like a dragon pet or the new Black Cat pet. So now moving on to the next pet, Endermite. 4 stars. Basically, the only use for this pet is the second ability, Pearl Muncher, which gives you 15 coins when you collect an Ender Pearl at max level, which is good if you can't afford a legendary Enderman pet to grind zealots. I mean, that is 30 to 40 million coins, not everyone can afford that, right? And because of that, that makes the Endermite not bad. considering that you get multiple ender pearls per kill, so it is going to be a 4-star pet. It is overshadowed by the legendary Enderman pet because you would rather use that to grind zealots. Eyes are worth more than ender pearls, but this is a budget pet, and basically the Endermite pet does a good job at it. And since you only need the epic version because Pearl Muncher is the second ability and not the final ability, it makes it even easier for you to get it. You just use your super enchanted egg once and you are guaranteed at least an epic or a legendary one, and both are bloody useful. So I believe that the Endermite will see play in the zealot grinding meta, but for budget use and for players who can't afford the legendary Enderman pet. So it's overshadowed still, but it's still a good pet nonetheless. And now moving on, the skeleton pet. 5 stars. Warning, it may get nerfed. Skeleton pet is hands down the most OP pet in the game, no questions asked. Golem pet's broken ability got fixed, so now you can't do 6 million damage per hit. Thank god, no pet should be that good. But skeleton pet still isn't fixed yet at this point of time that I'm writing, and it's better than the legendary ender dragon pet, which is ludicrous for something that costs only 2 stacks of enchanted bones. I don't have much to say here. It's common knowledge now that the skeleton pet is very overpowered. It's 5 stars for now, but it will highly likely get nerfed in the future. Don't quote me on this, I believe this will most likely happen though, because I don't believe 2 stacks of enchanted bones should be better than an ender dragon pet, which is extremely rare. So yeah, just consider that if you are planning to get one. And now moving on to the next pet, the ghoul pet. 4 stars. It's pretty decent, not gonna lie. Plus 100 HP and plus 70 intelligence for base stats is good for what this pet wants to achieve, namely giving you more healing and better zombies. First ability, amplified healing, is nothing to scoff at. We have seen how good zombie hearts and reaper masks are at double healing. Extra healing will certainly be amazing for tank builds and dungeons. Its second ability, zombie arm, is certainly pretty good as well, but the weakest of the 3, but it's still good. It buffs the healing and the range of zombies and ornate zombie swords. It is a good healing option for scythe users who want to play a support build along with the running of the scythe for extra damage. Kind of interesting. Its third ability is where the fun begins. It buffs the health and the lifespan of zombies from the Reaper Scythe. So I believe that buffing the lifespan of your zombies is genuinely going to help you and save you a lot of mana in the long run. And it also fixes some weaknesses of the Reaper Scythe. However, will it be better than Turtle or Bee Pet? I don't really think so, it's hard to say, because if you want the pure tank build, even if you are still using the scythe, Turtle and Bee are still better pets. However, if you want to play a support damage fusion build with the scythe and healing, Ghoul does it pretty well. I believe that it's a jack of all trades but a master of none, and that's why it's 4 stars. However, it may see potential to be 5 stars, but I think it's most likely 4. Tarantella pet, 2 stars. Simply put, this pet can be a 2-star or a 3-star pet. It depends on how Dungeons rolls itself out. The main overpowered thing of this pet is webbed cells, which reduces anti-healing effectiveness. This pet will certainly become pretty good if Dungeons turns out to have anti-healing enemies, and it will see some niche use in those dungeons, and it can be a 3-star pet. However, if Dungeons has little or no anti-healing enemies, I doubt this will see much use. Saving mana on Spider and Tarantulla's double jumps is a weak excuse of an ability when the legendary sheep head exists and does it even better by affecting all abilities. More combat XP from spiders is okay. I don't know how much more combat XP it gives as compared to the wolf pet, but if it's not a significant upgrade from the legendary wolf pet combat XP, which gives you extra combat XP from all mobs, then I don't think the Tarantella pet will see much use either. And for those of you out there who think that the anti-healing ability will be good against tier 6 and tier 7 Tarantulas in the future, bear in mind that your Tarantula chestplate already negates 100% of anti-healing. So yeah, it depends on what Dungeons has to offer, but for me, I think it's 2 stars right now. It has the potential to be 3 stars, yeah, so I think 2 to 3. Next up, the Hound pet, 3 stars. However, only if attack speed turns out to be good. It buffs strength and attack speed. It's pretty good for what it is. Hypixel has promised to make attack speed an actually useful ability in the Reforged update coming up with Dungeons, and I'm pretty hyped to see that change. So assuming attack speed actually increases your damage output, with 100% attack speed, it would potentially give you 100% extra damage, if it can click that fast of course. This pet will be pretty good for melee legends with high clicks per second, So its first ability, Scavenger, gives you coins per monster kill, which is good for general use. Its second ability, Finder, increases the chance for mobs to drop their armor. However, let's take a review on what mobs drop armor, okay? So we have minor armor and lapis armor from mobs in the mines, and ender armor from enderman. Doesn't sound that good now, does it? And last but not least, its final ability, Fury Claws, buff your attack speeds, and if attack speed does turn out to be what Hypixel promised, this will be an amazing ability. Next up, the Golem pet, 5 stars. Even though it was fixed, nerfed, whatever. You know what? It doesn't do 6 million damage anymore, but it's still an amazing damage pet. Its first ability, Last Stand, giving you more damage when you are below 15% HP, in reality won't be very useful. It's a cool ability and theoretically useful, but if your team is leaving you walking around with less than 15% HP, you are probably doing something wrong, and your team as well. Blame the support, okay? Ricochet, its second ability, is basically a glorified Thorns enchantment. It is not bad in dungeons when you're fighting in a frenzied room of hundreds of thousands of mobs. It helps with extra damage output. It's nothing amazing, but hey, it's extra damage. And the final ability is where it gets its 5-star rating from. Its ability, Toss. Yes, it sounds boring, but every 5 hits, you toss the enemy up into the air and do massive damage while you are at it. Before the bug patch, this allowed Golem to do 6 million damage for whatever good reason, I have no idea. It got fixed, but now it's still good because it's supposed to work as how it's intended to and not do 6 million damage. But it's still pretty good now. It also throws the enemy upwards, which also means protecting your allies and reducing damage for a while before the enemy falls back down to earth to murder you again. So yeah, it is a subtle positive benefit if you didn't notice for throwing the enemy up into the air. And now, the Dolphin pet, the new fishing pet, 3 stars. Simply put, the meta for fishing at the moment isn't sea creature chance. It's the speed of fishing that matters more, because fishing sea creatures aren't that amazing by themselves and tend to be garbage. I mean, most sea creatures tend to be garbage except for squids, night squids, emperors, carrot kings, golems, and yetis, because they tend to drop valuable loot or good level 6 books that can sell for a lot. For example, Angler and Caster 6, which is dropped by the Carrot King, and the Deep Sea Protector, also known as the Golem. Don't mess it up with the Golem pet or the Golem boss, different things. The problem with fishing at the moment is that it's rather oversaturated with fishing pets that buff fishing. So that's why this pet is in 3 stars, because fishing pets are already good for what they do. Squid pet is the king of both fishing, XP, and coins, and has already overshadowed flying fish. Dolphin, on the other hand, I think will be better than flying fish, and it's a free pet you get after killing 250 sea creatures, so I think that's pretty good. If you want to grind emperors or yetis, I think Dolphin will be pretty darn good, but squids are still the best for money right now and will probably remain so for a long time. So I doubt Dolphin will see play in the fishing meta outside of the fringe use for fishing emperors and yetis for collection purposes or for fun, I guess. So yeah, 3 stars. Next up, Baby Yeti, 3 stars. I honestly don't know how good this pet will be because I haven't seen its level 100 form, but it does seem pretty promising. The first ability, Cold Breeze, will be useful in future expansions in snow-themed battle areas as it buffs strength and crit damage around snow. Ice Shield also gives you strength in accordance to how high your defense is. Looking at you, Perfect 12, it gives defensive sets a more offensive approach, which is kind of interesting. And last but not least, its third ability, Yeti Fury, buffs the Yeti Sword by damage and intelligence, which is an interesting choice because the Yeti Sword's ability Terrain Toss takes up a lot of mana. So I think this will be pretty good for the sword, but since I don't know its level 100 stats, I can't claim this is super good or super trash. However, as a whole, I think this pet will be good with the Yeti Sword and will be amazing in snow, and also would be good if you are using a defensive orientated set. There's many loops for you to jump through to use this pet to its full potential, and because of that, I think it's rather niche and it gets 3 stars. It can see play, but under certain circumstances only. Next up, Elephant Pet, 2 stars. When I first saw this pet, I thought it was good, until I saw its level 100 stats. The first ability, Stomp, buffs you with plus 20 defense per 100 speed, which is pretty abusable because you have potions that give you speed, so anyone can get plus 80 defense with this pet, which is a good start for the first ability, since it's pretty much unconditional to anyone running any set. Its second ability, Walking Fortress. Oh boy, this is a disappointment. When I first saw the ability at level 1, I thought it would be good, but now after seeing the level 100 ability, it was disappointing. It gives you a whopping 1 health per 10 defense. So I used Perfect 12 and did the math. I will get a whopping 160 health from this pet, from this ability. So what do you get with Elephant? For me, plus 80 defense and plus 160 health. The third ability increases the chance of you getting double drops from farming or whatever it does. It isn't very reliable or useful in combat whatsoever. So why does this pet exist, Hypixel Skyblock? B and Total Pet overshadows this. Yeah, it's not that good, not going to lie. And now next up, the new spooky pet. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that 5 stars because its abilities increases the pet luck and magic find, which is something people used to pay 400 million coins for from the Ender Dragon pet for the cool plus 10 magic find and the extra damage. So I think this pet will be good for Slayer use and for pet stuff, and is unique for this pet only. At the moment, as how Black Cat is the only pet which focuses on 2 amazing stats, I'm giving it 5 stars because it cannot be replaced by whatever pet. And now moving on to the next pet, the Jellyfish pet. 4 stars. I'm just going to say this, support, support, support. This is OP for support mains. Its first ability, Radiant Regeneration, buffs your base health regeneration, while not as good as its Ghoul pet which buffs all healing including basic regeneration, but Radiant Regeneration gives all nearby players 10 HP per second. Pretty darn good for a support, don't you agree? The next ability, Hungry Healer, gives all nearby players the enchanted golden apple effect for every 1000 HP you have healed. It is a nice bonus, but enchanted golden apples aren't super broken or super good in Hypixel Skyblock, so I don't think it is really amazing, but it's a nice small buff. And last but not least, the final ability, Powerful Potions, buffs healing potions and mana potions effectiveness. The reason as to why I gave this pet 4 stars is because it will have to compete with the legendary sheep pet for the best healing support pet. And all 3 abilities of the jellyfish are useful, no doubt, but each of the ability isn't super broken or overpowered, so I'm not sure how it will turn out. And the last pet for today is the rock pet. The rating is Jerry pet. What's this? I'm going to rate this like a Jerry pet because it will probably never see actual use in the meta. It's more of a meme, but it's a good meme, okay? So with that, do you guys agree or disagree with my rankings? Be sure to comment down in the comment section down below. Bear in mind that this is just my own ranking system, take it with a pinch of salt. I may be right, I may be wrong, who knows, only the future can tell. And this is Flvff the Hammy, signing out.